Hey guys, just a quick update before we jump into this episode. As you know, one of my goals for 2023 is to streamline the podcast production process. So I tried a new production software. I thought it might make things easier, but it made things worse. So the sound quality, the transitions are going to feel a little weird in this episode, but I really like the content and I wasn't willing to lose it all. So bear with me in this episode as I figure out my new setup here, and I promise the audio will be back to normal in next week's episode.
Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make tiny improvements to your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon.
Hello and welcome to your bonus episode of the month, where we are going to be chatting through our December book of the month that we read over in the book club. So the December book was The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins, and this is a very simple concept. I'm going to be chatting about how it works, why it works, and the progress that I've actually made using it over the past month. This is going to be a good one of my favorite books for sure of 2022. And then I'm going to talk about what we have in store for 2023. Hi friends, where are you ordering your balloons? If it's not Havin a Party Wholesale, you're missing out. They offer the widest selection of quality balloon manufacturers. Their customer service is unparalleled, and their website is always updated with available quantities and makes ordering super easy. The Havin a Party family has even created a special deal just for you. Save 5% at checkout every time by using the code BRIGHTBALLOON. Head to havinaparty.com to start shopping now. All right, let's jump right in. The 5-second rule was so simple. I literally wasn't sure how we were going to read an entire book about it. I really like Mel Robbins a lot. I listened to her audiobook because I think the way she speaks is really kind of witty and fun. She doesn't take herself too seriously, which sometimes some of these mindset books get a little too serious. Like the people that just take themselves too seriously. She is not one of them. I think she pokes fun at the 5-second rule. She openly admits that it's stupid. It shouldn't be as powerful as it is, but it's helped millions and millions of people take action in their lives. So getting into the book, really it's very simple at its core. So what is the 5-second rule? Mel opens the book by talking about her struggle to get out of bed, specifically at a time in her life when she was unemployed. They were in a ton of debt. She didn't feel like things were going very well. And the simplest task, like getting out of bed to take her kids to school, was so hard. It was such a struggle. And obviously she goes way into depth about why she was in this place, kind of what happened, why she struggled. But the long and short of it was that her alarm would go off and she would hit the snooze, and then she would hit it again, and then she would hit it again. And eventually she would be waking up late. The kids weren't up. They were late to school. She forgot the lunches. And she was always just starting her day in this frantic mess. So she already didn't want to get out of bed. And then when you know that you are going to get out of bed and it's all going to be chaos, that doesn't help. So she had to break this cycle. And she said one night she was up watching TV, or an infomercial came on, and there was a rocket ship, and it counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then liftoff, and the rocket launched up into space. And she said, even though it was super silly, she decided the next morning that's what she was going to do. She was not going to hit her snooze button. She would hear the alarm and count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and push herself out of bed. And to her surprise, it worked. And to her surprise, even more, it worked again, and it worked for other people, and it worked for other tasks. And it all of a sudden, she was counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for everything. Now, what I think is really endearing about Mel and this book is that she openly admits that she didn't have this like scientific background to why the 5-second rule worked. It just did. Then later on in her research, she realized why that was the case. And there's actually like a lot of brain science in this book, which I think is really cool. And she talks about how our brain is wired to basically function in this idea of the 5-second rule. Basically, the overall gist of the book is that we can convince ourselves to do almost anything in less than 5 seconds. And the opposite is true. We can talk ourselves out of doing almost anything in more than 5 seconds. So if we give ourselves time to think, we can almost always come up with an excuse of why not to do something. So if you think, I should join a gym, in 5 seconds, we can convince ourselves not to. If you think, I should go up and talk to that interesting person at a networking event, it just takes 5 seconds to convince yourself that you're not wearing the right thing, or you forgot your name tag, or you've already talked to them before, you don't need to do that, or you're actually pretty tired and maybe you should just go instead. Like, we can come up with a million excuses, and basically that's all just self-sabotage. So in a nutshell, this book is all about setting up a practice so that when we get a gut instinct, that feeling of like, I should do this, I should talk to them. You know what would be cool? Whenever we have those gut reactions, before you have time to convince yourself not to do it, you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you make a physical movement. You launch yourself up like that rocket ship. You walk to your computer, you hit send on the email, you walk across the room and you say hi to the person, even though you don't know what you're going to say and you have no business talking to them and you're not wearing the right shoes and you forgot your name tag. Okay, so it's all about avoiding those opportunities within ourselves to make excuses. So that's it. I mean, this obviously there was way more to this book and I found it really enjoyable. But if you are looking for a book to kick off your 2023, I think this is a great option. It's not too complicated. It's not overwhelming. You can start applying it and practicing the 5-second rule after you read the first chapter. A lot of the book is full of inspiring stories, which I actually did find inspiring, because you never know how significant those moments are going to be unless you follow through on them. So some of the examples are about people, saying hello to their mentors and then it leading to a job offer, wild things like that just wouldn't have happened if they hadn't taken the smallest actions. Another area of the book, I talked about the brain science a little bit. One of the areas that I found interesting was talking about goal setting and the power of that. So I love goal setting, but just like Mel, I don't know all the science behind it. I just kind of know what works for me. I'm not necessarily sure why. And she explains why in this book, which is very cool. So this idea that when you set a goal and you write it down, your brain actually opens like a task list or like tabs on your computer. And even if you're not focused on that tab, it's still open and running in the background. So imagine if you're sitting at your computer and you're working on something, but your email tab is open. It's still working. Like, you're still getting emails in the background. It's still refreshing and kind of gathering that information for you, even if you're not sitting there staring at that open window or that open tab. So she says your brain works the same way. If you set a goal and you write it down, your brain opens that tab and it's open forever. It's open until you quit, or you decide you're done with that goal, or hopefully you accomplish that goal. And a great way to understand this is by thinking about when you feel guilt. So the example that she used is getting in shape, right? A lot of people have New Year's resolutions to get in shape right now. If you set a goal that you're going to work out more and you write that goal down, your brain is going to notice those opportunities for you. It is going to be working in the background. So if you walk into a library, you're not going to feel anything, right? But if you walk into a gym, your brain is going to start firing off these signals that are like, hey, we have this get in shape tab open in the background, and this seems like a great place to do that. Maybe you should join this gym. So it is sending you signals subconsciously so that you are able to better achieve your goals. And I think that that is about the coolest thing that I have ever heard. So I know that you're like 45% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down, which is why I am so passionate about goal setting, because I've seen those results. I've just never really known the science behind it. And she explains why, which I think is really cool. So to get even more into the science, what activates is your prefrontal cortex. So again, she talks about these studies where if someone sets a goal, maybe your goal is to, I don't know, learn how to play the guitar. They actually hooked people up to MRIs. And if your goal is to play the guitar, if they show you a picture of a baby, nothing happens. If they show you a picture of someone teaching how to play the guitar, the people in those MRI machines, their brains actually started to like fire up. Their prefrontal cortex actually started to make those connections. Like, hey, this was something that you were interested in. You should start paying attention. You should listen. Maybe you should sign up for lessons with this person. Do you even have a guitar? How are we going to learn how to play the guitar? Like, it actually starts firing off these cues to your body to start taking action. Isn't that so cool? Like, I just think that is so neat, and we don't have to do anything special. We just have to write down our goals, and then our brains kind of know how to help us. So I feel like people have struggled and failed to explain the law of attraction to me or manifesting many, many times. But this, in a nutshell, is my interpretation of manifesting. So making things real. I think this idea of your brain working for you in the background, that to me is my biggest understanding of what it means to set goals and intentions and manifest them into your life. It's not magic. It's not like the atoms rearranging themselves so that, you make the money you want. I think it's your brain being really, really smart and identifying those areas where you're more likely to achieve your goals. So people, I don't know why, but everyone always talks about the car analogy. I'm always like, I don't really get manifesting. It doesn't make sense to me. And they're always like, oh, but haven't you ever wanted like a white Jeep? And then you see white Jeeps everywhere. And for some reason, that analogy is like, I don't get it. That doesn't make sense to me. But I think what they're trying to explain is what the author has really done a good job of explaining. So if your goal is to buy a new car, buy a white Jeep, it's more than seeing them all over the place. It's about your brain having that tabs list in the background, and maybe it's going to identify things that are going to help you get that new car. So maybe you'll drive past a bank and for the first time notice a 0% financing option for a loan. Maybe you will see a Jeep dealership that you've never noticed, and you're actually going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and schedule a test drive. Maybe you're going to realize that someone you're friends with actually drives a Jeep, and you're going to talk to them about what it's like. Do they like it? Have they had car trouble? Was it worth the splurge? Someone else has a soft top versus a hard top Jeep, and all of a sudden you're going to talk to them about, do they actually ever use it as a convertible or not? So do you see the difference between like seeing white Jeeps on the road versus your brain actively putting you in situations to do the work in order to get the Jeep? That to me was a huge piece of the puzzle that clicked. And I have seen this in my own life. So I have started utilizing this 5-second rule. So simple, almost funny. I like to make fun of myself, and I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I just put my sneakers on and go. Because that was one of the huge things that I actually did this past month. Because of this book, I've been needing to join a gym for a while. And I love to talk myself out of things in more than 5 seconds. So I was driving past a Jeep, and normal Sarah would have said, oh, I'll Google them later. I'll look at what classes they have available. Maybe it works with my schedule. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's in my budget. Maybe it's not. But you know what I did instead? I pulled my car over and I went to the website of this gym that I drive past every day because it's like 3 minutes from my house. I pass it multiple times a day. And instead of talking myself out of anything or overcomplicating anything, I took action. I went to the contact tab and I filled out the form and I clicked contact me, send me more information. Before I looked at the price, before I looked at what the gym even had to offer, like I didn't even know, was this like a crazy CrossFit gym that was going to kill me? Like I didn't know. So, but all of that you can figure out later, right? It wasn't like I was committing to anything. I just took the action I needed to take in order to move to the next step. I didn't know if I was going to join. I didn't know if I could afford it. I didn't know if I was going to like it. All I knew was that the very next step was to ask for information. So I did. And long story short, I joined the gym. So instead of thinking about joining a gym like I've been doing for the last however many months, I just did it. And that is 100% because of this book. And I have to struggle with going to the gym. And one of the things that it has is like a sign-in button. Like it's kind of like a combination between like a CrossFit gym and a group fitness class gym. So it's not as intense as CrossFit, but it's not like a Zumba class where there's 30 people there. There's usually like 4 or 5 people. So they notice when I'm not there and they ask me to sign in advance so they know how many people are coming to each session. So before I have time to think about it, before I have time to convince myself not to, I get a weekly email asking when I'm coming and I click those boxes. So I say I'm coming at Monday at 4:30 and Thursday at 4:30. And that's another layer of accountability. So again, because I'm not like deleting the email, because I'm deciding to take deliberate action, it's like another layer of locking me into something that I really want to do. So that has really, really been a huge change in my life. And it's because of this book. One of my goals for the new year is to get in shape. I need to lose weight, but I really just want to be like healthy and find a community that I enjoy working out with. And so far it's been great. Another way that I could have talked myself out of that was like waiting till after the new year. Like I'm sure they're going to have specials right now for new signups, people looking to get in shape for 2023. But, I figured even if I joined 2 weeks before the new year, I'd be 2 weeks in by the time the new year started. So again, I didn't give myself the chance to talk myself out of it. So I'm really, really proud of that. Other ways that I have seen the 5-second rule in my life over the past month is talking to people at networking events. So I used that as an example earlier because that's my example. I really, really struggle at networking events. And I know people are like, what? You're so bubbly and blah, blah, blah. Nope. I am nervous in those situations. If I know like 1 or 2 people, I'm okay. But if I don't know anybody, there have been times I have not gotten out of my car and I've just gone home. Like I can convince myself of the wildest things because not knowing people makes me really intimidated. And lately I've been going to more and more networking events because I am hosting the big balloon build in my town. So I need to get sponsors involved. I want people to attend. I want local businesses to know about it. But if I don't do the work, nothing is going to come of it. So I've really pushed myself to go to these networking events, which really make me nervous, but the 5-second rule has helped. Specifically at one of them, I literally in my head said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I just walked up to someone, introduced myself, and we had a good conversation. I also was very aware that he is a multimillionaire, a very big name in my town. I was very scared to go up and talk to him, but I did it anyway. And will it lead to something? I don't know, but I did it, right? So that is very tangible evidence that this is working. So it's that idea of like listening to my gut, because my gut's not a dummy. It knows that I should go up and say hi to millionaires, but like then I talk myself out of it, so listening to my gut, my intuition has been really good. And now I think the other area where this book comes in handy is for procrastinators. And I am not a procrastinator. In fact, sometimes I'm like overzealous and I jump into things way too fast, like Sacred Money Archetypes. Before I even had a chance to think about it, I had recorded 2 episodes about it and launched a a group, and like sometimes I move too fast. So I was worried that this book was going to encourage me to move even faster, but it's not. It's really just this idea of taking deliberate baby steps when you feel like the time is right, and not letting yourself convince yourself otherwise. The final area where this was such a small moment that led to such a huge result is throwing the confetti in Times Square on New Year's Eve, you guys. So I'm not going to record an entire episode about this because episode 100 was an episode with Treb Heining, who is the man behind the New Year's Eve confetti. So I know a lot of people are like, how did you get to do that? Oh my gosh, what was it like? Listen to that interview with Treb. He basically spells it out. I didn't do anything special. I was just very excited to meet Treb and then be invited to come. So I was one of 100 people who were in Times Square up on a rooftop throwing the confetti at midnight on New Year's Eve, which was like a huge bucket list item, something that I've always wanted to do. I know a lot of balloon people that I'm friends with have had that opportunity, and I really, really wanted to go, especially after the interview with Treb, after hearing his emotion about the event. I was just like, oh, I want to go so bad. So I'll tell you what it came down to. It came down to me sending an email. Like that was the thing that I was nervous to do. That was the thing that the 5-second rule pushed me to do. I was emailing Treb about the podcast, and it took that little extra nudge for me to send one more email to just kind of say, like, I know it's late. I know I've missed the deadline. If there's any opportunity to ever attend the confetti in Times Square, I would love that opportunity. And as silly as that sounds, sending that email was really scary. Sending that email and asking for what I want was really scary because I felt like I don't have any business doing this. Everyone wants this opportunity. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to, ask a second time. I don't want to be that person. But you know what? I did it anyway, and I got to go. Like it worked out. So how many times have we just avoided sending that awkward email or following up with a phone call or, reaching out to someone just because we're too nervous, even though our gut says I should follow up, but our brain is like, too embarrassing. I'll do something else. And then we never do. How many email follow-ups are you away from, achieving one of your biggest goals? It could be an email that you send today that you've been avoiding that changes your life. Like that is the mindset that I have gotten from this book because I have seen it work in so many ways. Also, that millionaire that I said I went and talked to at a networking event, like we are now in communication for future things. So like these little tiny tasks, these everyday acts of courage, that's what Mel calls it. Everyday acts of courage that seem like nothing. But they're still scary. They're so insignificant that we can convince ourselves that these actions don't matter, but they do. These little actions add up to these ginormous changes in our lives. So if you think back to her story, getting up when your alarm rings, that was the tiniest, most insignificant thing that she could have focused on. But guess what? It worked. It got her out of bed. It got her kids to school on time. It got her ready in the morning. She started looking for jobs. She found a job. She got out of debt. She became the most booked speaker in the United States, and her life changed. So it all started with not hitting the snooze button and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launching herself out of bed. So how inspiring is that? The book was wonderful, super easy to read, filled with inspiring stories, and I really recommend the Audible version. I loved hearing Mel talk through the book. She's a little bit feisty. It makes it a little bit more fun to hear her interpretation of her own book. All right, we are going to take a quick break and then wrap it up with a couple closing thoughts.
Last time you popped open your phone and searched for balloon garlands near me or balloon arch near me, was your business sitting right at the top? Are you getting all the business you want from Google? Because, I bet there's a lot of market out there that you could still capture if you were in one of those top spots for those searches that we see all over the country for decor. Hi, I'm Jeff at Balloon Suite, and we can help you get to the top with a Google search ad campaign or with improvements to your website and your local search engine optimization so that you're ranking right at the top of those pages. Stop wasting your time and money managing your own Google ads and give us a call or text at 206-488-1871 or check out our plans at balloonsuite.com/pricing.
If you're listening to this episode and thinking, I'd like to know a little more, there are 4 episodes dedicated to this book waiting for you in the Patreon group, aka the Bright Balloon Book Club. Each month, I read a new self-improvement or business book and record 4 bonus episodes to go along with it. You can read along or just listen, and when you join the book club for $5 a month, you get the bonus episodes every Sunday, but you also get all of the previously recorded book club episodes. There are more than 50 episodes waiting for you as soon as you sign up. The lineup for 2023 is amazing, and I can't wait to grow with you. Check out the book club linked in the show notes. All right, so there you have it, the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. It really is an easy read and something you can apply to your life and your business starting today. So the next time you feel that nudge in your belly to do something, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Take actual physical action, whether that is walking over to the person you want to say hello to or hitting send on the email that you have been proofreading for the last hour. This entire book is about trusting your gut and getting out of your head and out of your own way. You know, and I know that we love to do that. We love to make things harder than they need to be. We love to come up with convenient excuses so we don't have to do the things that we don't want to do. This book really is a quick starter if you are looking for something to encourage you to take action this year. I think this is a really practical solution. You don't have to read the whole book before you can start implementing it, and it's full of really inspiring stories from readers who have explained how they use the rule, which really helped me because at first I was like, that's it? Count from 5? That seems really dumb. But hearing how these little things, these little struggles like hitting send on an email or introducing yourself to someone, those things are holding you back. If you do 50 of those things a day, imagine if you said no to all of them versus if you said yes and took action. You'd be living a different life in 6 months. So I'm really motivated by this book. I'm really excited by last year's book club in general. I found so much personal growth through all of the books, and I know many of you did as well. And I'm so excited for 2023. So if you're looking to give yourself a little treat, the book club is waiting for you, and it is a bonus episode every single week all about these books. So happy 2023. I'm so excited for what this year holds for you, for me, for the podcast, and I will see you in next week's episode.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. If you are interested in bonus episodes, check out our Patreon group where I release an additional episode every single week and you unlock more than 50 archived episodes as soon as you join. Check out the link in the show notes wherever you're listening.